Today we are going to do another project analysis series, and that is Norwood Grand. So before we begin, would you take a moment to actually follow my Telegram channel, because that is where you'll get the latest updates in terms of all the new launch projects, as well as sometimes you'll get some information on some bounce out units that you probably wouldn't be able to get online. Okay, so some quick info about Norwood Grand by itself. Norwood Grand is actually located in Woodlands, along the Champions Way Road. It is actually one of the rare few projects that is within 3 to 5 minutes walk to the Woodlands South MRT, which is the Thomson East Coast Line. So one of the things that I wish to actually point out here is Norwood Grand, besides being 348 units comprising from 1 to 4 bedrooms, the most important thing that I want to touch on is actually the TOP date. Why? Because as you can see over here that the TOP date is 2030. So this actually affects you in depending on which kind of buyer are you. First, if you are own stay buyer, of course this will be a little bit more of a downside. Why? Because you will need to wait approximately 6 years for it to be completed and take your keys to move in, right? The other group of buyers that I think that might be affected, which may be good or bad, is your investors. So today, if you are buying a unit here, if you are looking for rental, this will mean that you need to wait 6 years, right? But of course, I've assisted quite a few buyers over the last year, right? And their main aim was to find a project that has a very, very long completion date. Why do they actually want to do that? Because today we still belong in an environment where the interest is relatively higher than usual. So being in a new launch project, right, that will mean that your payment breaks down into progressive payment. So when it comes to progressive payment, this will also mean that your payments, the interest that you're going to pay is much, much lesser. So bear in mind that when you make a purchase during a new launch, right, your SSD begins from the date you exercise. So many a times, like in Norwood Grand's case, right, it's very likely that before you collect your keys, you'll be able to sell as a sub-sale. So from the day that you buy until the day that you can sell as a sub-sale, right, that would generally mean that your interest that you have paid, the costs and the expenses in terms of holding this kind of property, right, is definitely much, much lower. Because why? First, you save on interest. Second, you save on property tax. And third, you actually save on the MCST fees. So later on, I will actually touch on a bit more based on the different unit type. If you're looking for rental, then does it make sense, especially for the 1 bedroom? So there are two main facings for this for this project. The first will be the Innova Primary School. So Innova Primary School is about 4 levels. Technically speaking, today, if you were to buy a unit here, okay, your clearance would definitely be around 6 to 7 floors and above. The rest of the facing will mainly be the HDB facing. Okay, I did a superimpose of the site plan over here. One of the things that I want to highlight is the facing. Because as you know, right, for new launch development, there are what we call the non-premium facing and the premium facing. So premium facing, what does it mean? Usually means pool view, landed view, sea view, all the great views, right? And for this project, one of the things that you will have to take note is how the developers actually orientated this project. So there are 2 main blocks over here, okay? So technically speaking, if you look at the site plan by itself, the more premium facing will definitely be facing the pool and the inside of the project. But the thing is this row of units over here will be not only facing the pool, it will also be facing the tennis court. So of course, above that, if you have a clearance of 6 to 7 floors up and higher, right, then you will have a relatively unblocked view towards the primary school. But bear in mind that after the primary school is actually another HDB block. So technically speaking, I would say that it's not really an unblocked view per se. One more thing is, if today you are facing the tennis court, then you have to know that during the normal hours, right, from let's say in the evening from 6 all the way until 10, the tennis court lights will be bright. So I assisted a buyer who bought something that is above the tennis court. I think she bought level 9 or level 10. From her level at level 10, right, she will still be able to see the tennis court lights shine into her house. So this is something that you probably need to be okay with that if let's say you want something that is facing the pool. Otherwise, if you're not so particular about the facing, if you are more particular in terms of the entry price, then I will feel that for Norwood Grand there is not really a big need for you to look for a premium facing unit because they are not really premium. But instead you can just focus in terms of the entry price and look into the other non-pool facing units. Of course, this project is actually a full facilities condo. Why? Because there is tennis court, there is pool. So I would say that for 300 plus units condo, this is actually quite a full-fledged facilities condo. Okay, next we are going into the unit mix. So just now as I mentioned, right, Norwood Grand has a range between the 1 bedroom all the way to the 4 bedrooms. So one of the things that I always talk about is the supply of units. So technically when you buy into a development, the unit type that you are looking at, you must be able to know how many units are there. Why? Because this actually will affect the performance of your property. Let's say for example, if today you have a lot of 1 bedroom units for sale, then during TOP that will mean that there will be a lot of competitors selling, right? So when there are a lot of competitors during the time when you sell, so that is also when you will find that it is a little bit harder for you to command a much higher price as compared to the times where you only have 1 to 2 competitors who are in the market trying to sell their unit. So why am I actually saying this is because over here, if you can look at Norwood Grand, right, they actually have quite a fair balance between the small and big units. Now we are going to touch on the 1 bedroom plus study. So now let's dive into the 1 plus study floor plan. So for 1 plus study, this is actually 495 square feet, which is located across 3 different stacks, a total of 31 units in this development by itself. So walking in through the entrance on my left, it will be the study corner, and then it will be a linear kitchen, followed by a living space and master bedroom. So it is actually not easy to be very flexible in terms of the 1 bedroom. I would say quite a straightforward layout. But one of the things that I actually want to touch on is the facing. So 3 different kinds of facing for the 1 plus study. First is stack 28, 04 and 13. So is there a premium between these 3 different facings? I would say don't have, because they all have the same facing, which is the HDB blocks. So 1 plus study, technically speaking, it usually appeals to investors. So which is why the next thing I want to cover, remember just now I talked about supply, right, is the number of supply of units for the 1 bedrooms in this area. Why do we actually want to do that? Because investors who are looking at 1 bedrooms, this is one of the most important things you have to take note. Because right, this will definitely affect the price that you can sell in the future. And most importantly, if you are going to rent it out, it also will mean where is your tenant pool coming from. If today you have a lot of units competing with you, it might also mean that it is harder for you to get a tenant. Okay, so for the entire Woodlands, when I did my research, I was a little bit surprised because right, the entire Woodlands is quite a big estate, but there are only 3 condos that have 1 bedrooms. So let us go into it. The first will be Woodhaven. Woodhaven actually TOP in 2015. Okay, and there are about 120 units in the project itself, followed by Rosewood Suites, which has only 12 units, and Park Rosewood, which is 376 units. Now, the next thing I actually want to touch on is why did I actually put here that they are 15, 19, and 16 years old respectively when their TOP is only 2014, 2015. The reason why I put this is because I just want us to be very clear that once Norwood Grand actually TOPs in 2030, I also want to know the units that are available for sale that is in the supply in that area at that time, how old will they be? Okay, so that is why when I work it out for you, Woodhaven by then in 2030 is actually 15 years old. It's a 15 years old project. Next followed by Rosewood Suites, it is actually 19 years old. And then lastly will be Park Rosewood, which is 16 years old. Okay, so from this whole supply of one bedroom units in the entire Woodlands estate, actually we can see one thing which is very clear, is all the units, total of 508 one bedroom units, they actually belong more towards the 15 to 20 years old projects by the end Norwood Grand actually TOPs. Which means what? Which means that there are actually no units for sale that is competing for you that are under 10 years old. This is actually very important because, right, this actually will help you to see whether you can command a higher rental over other people. Another second thing to note is I specially highlighted where they are located in. So for Woodhaven, Rosewood Suites and Park Rosewood, these three condos are very much further away from the MRT, whereas for Norwood Grand is actually very close to the Woodlands South MRT. Okay, so when I saw that there were 508 units in the whole entire Woodlands estate, I wasn't very convinced to say that this is something that we can definitely look at, which is why I went into Property Guru and I went to see how many units are there actually for sale. So to my surprise, right, out of 508 units, right, there are only 23 units for sale, which accounts to only 4.5%. So when we look into something like this, right, why is it that there is only 4.5% units for sale, right? I actually went into the data to see how the rental is fetching like. So I was quite surprised to see that the units there, they actually command over 4% in terms of rental yield, which is actually very high, which definitely explains why owners who hold on to such one bedroom units, right, they are not so keen to sell, which actually results to what? Their number of units is very low. If you have looked into other areas that the rentability is not as good, right, this amount can easily go up to 10 to 15%. So for me, if I were to compare between other areas to Woodlands, right, I would say that this area definitely has quite a huge lack of supply in terms of the one bedroom units. Okay, so just now I touched on the supply of the unit and why I think that I was a bit shocked because, right, for even the older projects in Woodlands, right, I also pulled out the average rental for the remaining three condos. So first, Woodhaven, the average rental is about $2,830. Next is Park Rosewood. Park Rosewood, their average rental is about $2,750. So why I actually want to use these two rental as a guide price is because in Woodlands, as I mentioned, there are no condos that we can do a very fair comparison. So if let's say these condos, which is already probably 10 years old, more than 10 years old, they are already commanding this price, I would definitely say that it is very safe to say that Norwood Grand actually will be able to command at least $2,800 per month. Plus, just now as I mentioned, right, this project is the only one that is located near the MRT and is brand new. So definitely, if based on these two additional attributes, right, I would say that being able to command 3,000 or maybe estimated 3,200 will not be an issue for Norwood Grand. But it's just that for context purpose, I just like to be very conservative in my calculation. So I pulled out and do an estimated based on $2,800. Why is it important for us to know this? Because next, I'm actually going to use the estimated guide price of the project to show you what is the rental yield like if you are looking at a one bedroom for rental. So I actually did up the price matrix of the entire one bedroom per se. So receive a 3.77% in terms of rental yield, which is very high in today's context. Okay, even if you go up until a purchase price of under $1 million, your rental yield would be 3.36%. Okay, so today if let's say you're looking for Norwood Grand as a rental property, I would say that in terms of rental yield is definitely something you can look at. But what is the cons about buying into a one bedroom in Norwood Grand? Okay, so let's be transparent. The cons of buying into a one bedroom in Norwood Grand is you cannot rent until 2030, which means from now until 6 years later, you will definitely be shortchanged in terms of the rental. You won't be able to collect that rental. So if you ask me, based on this purchase price, should you buy? Definitely at under the $1 million price point, you won't be able to find anything that is in the new launch at brand new in any new launches, because the average one bedroom in today's context is about 1.2 to 1.3 million. So definitely it's much more affordable and easier for you to enter in terms of entry price. But however, if let's say you are someone who urgently wants to collect rental yield, then possibly then the resale options might be much better for you. Moving on to the two bedroom analysis. So there are actually three main unit types for the two bedrooms. I'm just going to go through one by one with you. The first will be the typical B1 layout, which is the 2 bed 2 bath at 624 square feet. So this is actually the only two bedroom unit type that has the most number of units and most number of stacks. Where are they actually facing? So there are two different facings for the two bedroom unit over here. The first I would want to highlight is the non-premium facing, which is facing outside, the HDB facing. The ones that I feel that will be priced higher would actually be 24, 17, 32 and 35. Why? Because like I mentioned, this is actually facing the school. So anything that is above level 6 to level 7, you have a clearance over the school. So that will mean that, you know, you will definitely be able to, if I were the developer, I would definitely want to command much higher in terms of the pricing. So let us dive deeper into the layout. The thing that I like a lot is the two bedroom actually comes with a tucked-in kitchen. So this tucked-in kitchen is a very, very nice touch for a two bedroom. As what I've mentioned in many of my videos, these kind of two bedrooms, enclosable kitchen is actually very rare in today's context, because most kitchens out there today, they still sadly have a lot of linear kitchens which are along the walkway. So this layout, if let's say there is a small family who is looking to start, you know, their first purchase, this layout would actually make a very good entry point for them in terms of their property purchase. So one other thing that the developer, I think, added a very nice touch is over here along the kitchen is actually a glass wall. So this will mean that your kitchen will not be completely dark. There will still be enough light to be able to enter into the kitchen itself. The unit itself, it is actually a dumbbell layout with bathroom on each side. So this actually means that, right, for this two bedroom, there is no wasted space in terms of the corridor. Today, if you are a buyer who is looking to maximize your purchase, this layout, I think it will be a very, very nice layout. Be it today you are looking for own stay or you're looking out to rent, then this floor plan is a very nice layout that will be widely accepted by most buyers in the resale market. The only thing that is the cons about this unit is the windows. There are no windows in the bathrooms, no ventilation in the bathrooms lah. But I feel that it's also very, very common. Later on, when we go down into the other unit types for the two bedrooms, you'll be able to notice that in Norwood Grand by itself, the two bedrooms actually mostly do not have any windows in their toilet. So nothing for buyers to actually complain about in that sense. Next, we also have the two bedroom ensuite, which is the 667 square feet. So for the 667 square feet unit type, there are only 11 units of such. Where is the key difference between the previous 624 square feet to the 667 square feet is this. The main thing actually is the study over here, and then the kitchen over here. So if you were to ask me to have a comparison between the 624 and 667 square feet in terms of floor plan, I think the 624 square feet will still be much more preferred. Okay, why? Because the first thing is the kitchen by itself. This is what we talk about, right? The linear kitchen. Second thing is the way the study is actually being positioned. So if you take a look at the study, right? Let me clear the highlight for a bit. If you take a look at the study by itself, this is actually located at the front of the master. And over here at the master, this is the only window, which means your only light source comes from the window, which is very small from here. Take a look at how 624 square feet is being oriented. Their window is such a big panel versus this. So the bedroom is a L shape, meaning light has to travel from this place. This whole area behind and beside the bed is solid walls. That means no light can come through. Meaning your bedroom, your master bedroom for the 667 square feet is going to be a bit dark. And that would mean that you probably have to switch on light in the day in that sense, okay? But one of the good thing about this layout is there is one window over here, and this is the only layout that has window in the master bathroom. So last layout that we have is the B2S 2-bedroom ensuite. This is 710 square feet. 43 units, about 12% of the entire unit mix. Take a look at the facing. Facing is actually on stack 1, 9, and 20. So we can see over here that for the 710 square feet, right, as compared to the 624 square feet facing, it will definitely command a much higher premium as compared to the HDB facing, which is the 624 square feet. So in terms of affordability and price gap, we will definitely be expecting a much more higher premium, not just because of the size, but because of the facing. So later on, I'll actually do a slight calculation for you just to give you a clearer idea on how it is so that you can be prepared in terms of balloting, how you should position yourself and identify which are the units that are more worth to go for. So let us look at the floor plan in terms of the 710 square feet. Be able to see that there's a bathroom that is positioned here. This kitchen is not enclosable. It belongs more of what I call a linear kitchen. But this is actually the show flat unit, which means that when I went to a show flat by itself, right, we did a measurement. If I didn't remember wrongly, right, from the study to the kitchen wall over here is actually 5.2 meters. Meaning the moment you walk in, this will actually give you an impression that the whole space is very wide. And it will actually create the wow factor. But the thing is this whole study area, I think is not a real study in that sense, because later on I'll show you what a proper study is. A proper study is actually something that has window and then has aircon. I would say that this would definitely act more as if today you want to, for example, have more space for storage, or you want to shift your dining over here. So then the whole living area over here will look a bit more spacious in that sense. But otherwise, this whole study area will, I don't know, when I see it, I just feel that this is something that I might want or I might not want. And when I have this thinking that I may want or might not want, then I'll start asking, right? Just like any buyers out there, you will start asking, so what is the price difference? Which is why when there is this kind of thinking, right, that is where we will actually have a bit more of a rejections from future resale buyers. So later on, I'll actually count for you if, let's say, based on the 624, which is the smallest 2-bedroom versus the bigger 710 square feet unit, which the difference is at the study, is it really worth it? Does it make sense in terms of price quantum? Not. But otherwise, in terms of the whole floor plan, right, the 710 square feet, the 2 bedrooms are pretty similar to the 2-bedroom unit types that we have seen just now. Okay, for the 710 square feet, the thing is they also got no windows in the bathrooms. Just to summarize, just now when I said earlier on when the 2 bedrooms is quite common for Norwood Grand that they don't have any windows in the bathrooms is also good in that sense, because today even if you're comparing between a 624 or 710 square feet unit, the smallest and the biggest, there is not much things to compare, because you can't say that, hey, 710 is more premium because they got windows, they got ventilation in the kitchen or in the bathrooms. They don't have. So the only main difference between that and this is just the study. So earlier on, I actually covered between the 3 different unit types for the 2 bedrooms. Right now, I'm going to lay everything side by side for you so that you have a clearer idea in terms of what are actually the key differences between the 2 different layouts, and will be able to make a clearer choice. And I will also be able to touch on the facings as well and do out a rough calculation to see that this is something that you would be interested in. So the first one to look at is the 624, which like I mentioned is the smallest 2 bedroom. Take a look at the facing for this. I would say that, right, for the 624 units just now, as I mentioned, is there are 2 main facings. The first will be facing the, let me just do a highlight for you, the HDB facing, and then the next would actually be facing the school. As for the 667 square feet, which the difference is in the study area, the facing, there is only one stack for this unit type, which is stack 14. Okay, so if I were to compare price to price, there is a chance that this facing over here, these units, will naturally have a much higher premium as compared to the HDB facing. So today, if I do a comparison between the 687 to 624 square feet, right, I think there's a chance whereby the 624 square feet facing school versus 667, which is facing the HDB, there will come a time where the price will be very, very similar in terms of price point. Why do I say that? Because today, if let's say this is 624 square feet is 2,300 per square foot, for example, this will work out to be about 1.435 million. As for the 667 square feet, let's say based on 2,200 per square foot, it will work out to be 1.467. So you can see over here that there is actually easily a 30K difference. If let's say today you are during balloting, you have this choice whereby you can choose between the the primary school facing as well as the HDB 667 square feet facing. So this price gap might be very, very narrow. In fact, this is based on $100 per square foot. If let's say the difference between the Innova primary school facing right over here and the HDB facing is only $50 per square foot, this will mean that easily you can get a 667 square feet unit that is at the same price as a 624 square feet. So if you were to ask me what is my choice between the 624 and 667, I would say that I would still prefer the 624 square feet HDB facing first, only because there is not too much in terms of a very premium facing, unless you go very, very high floor. But going very, very high floor for the Innova facing will definitely mean that you will have to pay a lot more, as the developers will definitely load on that stack more, right? So that's why I say that if today you're comparing between 624 and 667 square feet, go for the HDB facing first, okay? Of course, only 22 units, so really have to depend a bit on luck. Then followed by, during balloting, if you can compare between the 624 square feet Innova primary school facing and the 667 HDB facing. So if the price is very close, then probably I think you can still focus on getting the bigger unit type. I'll move on to the comparison between the 624 square feet and 710 square feet. So 624 and 710 square feet, just now as I mentioned, right? Where is the key difference in these 2 units? Actually, this is, when we compare side by side, you can see very clearly is the study area only. Of course, the kitchen. But these 2 things by itself, right, to pay a premium of $190,000, is it really worth it or not? To me, I would feel that it would definitely not be, because for the study area to pay $200,000, it is quite a big gap for almost 20%, right? More than 20% for a 2-bedroom unit. So the entry point might not be that feasible for many first-time buyers out there. The second thing is I base the 2,200 per square foot as the same per square foot price. If let's say the 710 square feet is 2,300 per square foot, which likely could be because they face the pool. So if let's say the premium is 2,300 per square foot, which is $100 premium, this will easily take your price gap to at least $250,000. So $250,000 you pay for extra study. Other than that, nothing is different, right? So $250K for the extra pool view, I feel that it might not be very, very worth it. Okay? So next, I will compare between the 667 to 710 square feet. So this unit type 667, right, to 710 square feet, there is a very, very slight difference in the square foot. Okay, meaning which, right, today if you're looking at 667 square feet, just now as I mentioned, right, if today this unit is the same amount as this, then maybe you can focus on this. But do not forget that 667 square feet is actually will be quite close in terms of the entry price if you look at a higher floor. So with that, I would want to share with you what is my top pick for the 2 bedrooms out of the 3 different layouts. My first choice will definitely be the 624 square feet, as this is a layout that is widely acceptable by own-stay buyers and also investors. The second choice will be 710 square feet, and the last choice will be the 667 square feet. Next, let us touch on the 3-bedroom analysis. So for the 3 bedrooms, there are actually quite a few different unit types for this layout. The first one we want to actually talk about is the 3-bedroom compact. For the 3-bedroom compact, there are actually 3 different unit types, which I will share with you. The first one will be the C1 unit type, 872 square feet. There are only 22 units in this whole development. Next, there is C2, which is 883 square feet, also 11 units. So for the 3-bedroom compact, for the 800 plus square feet units, you can see that there are only 33 units, which is very, very little for a development in Norwood Grand. Okay, what is the key difference between the 2 different unit types? C1's unit actually into has a different foyer as compared to the C2 unit. Okay, walking in, you will have an enclosed kitchen that comes with window, very, very important for own-stay buyers today. Then you will also be able to have a portrait living area, a good-sized portrait living area. And then these bedrooms can also all fit at least a queen-size bed. The only thing that I a bit don't understand is this study area, which is like very small. Then moving on, the bathrooms also have its own windows. So overall, a very, very nice layout for own-stay buyers. Next, we are going to look at 883 square feet unit. So 883 square feet, likewise, the only difference just now, as I was mentioning, was the foyer. You also have a very nice kitchen, enclosable kitchen. Very, very similar floor plan as compared to C1. I think the only difference is the entrance. There has no foyer and has less privacy. So today, if I were to compare between the 872 square feet versus the 883 square feet, there is a difference of about 11 square feet, which means that based on 2,200 per square foot, you are paying about 22,000 more, right? But this 22,000, you don't exactly see where it is, except for the foyer area. In fact, if you ask me which kind of foyer I actually prefer, right, I would much prefer the C1 unit type, because this actually gives buyers, owners, right, a lot more privacy, because people are standing at the door, they can't look into the house. Whereas for this one, it is more, it's a straight entrance, no foyer, so there is definitely a little bit less privacy. on to the 3 plus study, 904 square feet. This unit is going to be very, very different as compared to the previous 2 unit types. So for the 904 square feet, moving in from the entrance, okay, you will have what I think is nice is a dry kitchen and a wet kitchen. Okay, then on the right there will be a study area which just now similar to the bigger 2-bedroom, right? This study, I feel that it can also be converted into a little store area, or it could be your really a place where you can put your study area at. But however, one of the things that you need to, I want to point out to you is this floor plan is definitely, out of all the floor plans, have the least privacy. Why? Because when a person walks in, right, straight away, even if they are standing here, they look left to look right, they can see every angle of your house and look into all your bedrooms. I've served some buyers who actually have eat towards this kind of layout. When it comes to 2 bedrooms, when you have dumbbell layout, it is actually somewhat more acceptable as compared to a 3-bedroom. Why? Because 3-bedroom buyers, they look for own stay, they definitely want something that is more private. Just imagine when you have guests coming over to your house, everybody is sitting here, but everybody can look into every area of your house as compared to a traditional layout where, you know, there is a long corridor tucking all the rooms into one side. Okay, so the other thing that I also feel is a downside about this layout is there is no windows in the kitchen, there is no windows in the bathrooms. So this layout is something that I feel might not be so desirable as compared to the previous 2 floor plans. If I want to compare between the 3 units, okay, 3 unit types between the 872, 883 and 904 square feet, 3-bedroom compact, my top choice is still the 872 square feet. Why? Because 872 square feet, the facing first will, the layout will definitely be the most desirable. Okay, just now I've already explained. And also, right, if I were to compare between the 872 to 904 square feet, at 904 square feet units are actually going to be positioned here. That means it's very likely that developers are going to load up these units because of the facing. So if I were to base an average starting price of $2,200 for Norwood Grand's HDB facing units and do a comparison for you, right? Let's just take a premium of maybe $50 per square foot difference. Meaning for the 872 square feet, we start at $2,200 per square foot. That will take the 3-bedroom quantum to be about 1.918 million. Okay? 904 square feet based on $50 per square foot higher, that will take the price to be over 2.034 million. The price gap between these 2 units, right, will be easily $115,000. So $115,000, when I look at the floor plan, is not really so desirable. So today, if you are looking at something that you are very particular about facing, then the 904 would definitely be something you want to consider. But otherwise, if layout is something that you focus on, then I would think that focusing back on the 872 square feet would be the most crucial. So just now I touched on the 3-bedroom compact. Now I'm actually going to run through the 3-bedroom premium. So for the 3-bedroom premium, there are actually 2 different unit types. First is the C4PS, 1044 square feet, and next is the C5, which is also 1044 square feet. So earlier on, I actually touched on the 3-bedroom compact. Right now, I'm actually going to run through the 3-bedroom premium. For 3-bedroom premium, there are actually 2 main unit types. First is the C4 unit, and second is the C5 unit, both at 1044 square feet. C4 is actually located on stack 26. Bit of an error here, stack 26, whereas for C5 it is located on 23 and 27. So based on different facings, you will be able to see that the C5 stack 27 definitely will be lower price as compared to the stack 23. The main difference between the 1044 square feet for C4 and C5 is only at the foyer area. Okay, otherwise when you look at the floor plan, it actually has a dry kitchen, a wet kitchen, and then a WC and a household shelter, which can be doubled up as your helper's room. One of the things that I like about a 3-bedroom premium, and I think that this is actually the nicest layout as compared to all of the layouts in Norwood Grand, is the living area. So this living area is very special in the sense whereby when you walk in, is actually a wide frontage living room. So they actually didn't put the study between the bedrooms, just like earlier on when we see in the other layouts. They actually put the study at the living area. What is so good about this? It's because, right, those people who actually want to conceal this place, cover it up and convert it into a glass wall with a study can do so. The second thing is those owners who actually prefer their living room to have a very, very wide frontage, then this actually creates a lot of light into a house, making the whole house feel more brighter and also more spacious. The next thing that I like about this layout is the balcony. Why is that so? Because usually when we look into the new launches, when we go into the show flats, right, as long as the living room is wide frontage, the balcony will also be as wide as the living area, which means that you are also essentially paying for the balcony space. But for this 1044 square feet, the balcony is a portrait format, while the living space is a landscape format. So technically speaking, you are not paying a premium for that balcony. Between the 3-bedroom compact and the 3-bedroom premium, one of the things that we really want to talk about is, does it make sense to pay a premium for a bigger 3-bedroom lot? In fact, right, this is something that a lot of buyers, if today they are looking at something for investment, right, they will always ask me this question, because essentially it means what? From 904 square feet to 1044 square feet, there is a premium that they have to top up, is $231,000. How do I get this number? Because earlier on, remember, 904 square feet, the units have premium facing. So they are actually facing the pool area, right? Which means that today for 904 square feet, it is only natural that they will command a premium of $50 if, let's say, the average per square foot is $2,200. Which is why 904 square feet based on 2250 per square foot is actually $2.034 million. Next is the based on C4. C4 is actually on stack 26, meaning that the pricing for the stack 26, first, it will be bigger. So bigger definitely will command a much lower per square foot. Second is the facing might not be as premium as the 904 square feet. So with that being said, the reason why I didn't put 2,200, I put $80 per square foot lower, right, is just an estimate, because of these two attributes. It's bigger, and also the view might not be as premium as the 904 square feet. So if I were to do a calculation between the 904 square feet versus the 1044 square feet, there is a price gap of $231,000, which means that today, right, you are actually going to pay 11% more to a bigger unit. Now we are actually going to work through to see whether it is actually worth it. How do I actually do that? Is I will do two different kind of comparison. The first comparison will be based on the current new launches. Actually, how is developers pricing the 3-bedroom compact to the 3-bedroom premium? Okay, 3-bedroom compact to 3-bedroom premium, usually the main difference is there is extras, household shelter, there's a bigger kitchen, there's a yard, and there's a WC. Okay, so how does developer actually price this extra space across the developments in Singapore? So I use a few examples. The first one is Lentor Mansion, which is a new launch also in the OCR area. So Lentor Mansion, we can see the thing is this. Okay, so just now you see 904 square feet is actually facing inside, and 1044 is facing outside. So same for Lentor Mansion when you come to the small and big units. The big unit is also facing outside, and the small unit, the 904 square feet, is actually facing the pool. So there is actually a difference in size of about 119 square feet, which means that, right, the premium to top up for the purchase price is about 12.6%. So meaning which the developers for Lentor Mansion on average they command a premium for 3-bedroom compact versus 3-bedroom premium of 12.6%. Next we want to look at is also Lentor Hills Residences. So Lentor Hills Residences, the big unit versus the small unit, okay, the big unit versus the small unit is actually 13%. And today you are comparing between a 3-bedroom versus a 3-bedroom compact. The price gap between these two is actually under 13%, just like what we are seeing in the other new launches. If it's at 11%, then definitely it would be a very, very worth it price for you, especially for Norwood Grand. Why? Because Norwood Grand, the 3-bedroom premium actually is the best layout, I would say, compared to the rest of the unit types in Norwood Grand. It will definitely be ranked first in my opinion. So to be able to pay only just 11% in terms of price gap for the best layout of a 3-bedroom, I think that this is definitely something that you can consider. But with that being said, right, today's price analysis, the pricing that I get is just a rough estimation based on the different facing, based on the sizes, right? How usually developers will price. At the end of the day, during balloting, that is the true most accurate pricing that we are going to look at. So it's important for you to, during balloting, be able to work out this calculation or be able to get your agent to work out this calculation for you so that you know that you are being protected in terms of your purchase first. And secondly, you will also know that whether it is worth it for you to pay a premium for the 3-bedroom or you should just stick to a 3-bedroom compact. But of course, for families today, if you're looking at 3-bedroom premium, then that is the only thing you can look for, right? Okay, so now moving on. Just now I talked about the comparison between the new launch prices across all the developers, how they usually price the units between the 3-bedroom and the 3-bedroom compact. Now I'm actually going to talk about, in terms of profits, does it actually make sense or not? So how do I actually do that is I actually use two different examples of the resale properties that has recently TOP to share with you whether it makes sense. So the first project that I actually picked is Affinity at Serangoon. Affinity at Serangoon, there is a comparison between a compact, 3-bedroom compact and a 3-bedroom premium. So you can see over here, this 904 square feet unit also has an enclosed kitchen. So the layout is pretty similar, if not even slightly better than the Norwood Grand's 904 square feet. So for the 3-bedroom premium, the layout is actually quite nice. It's pretty similar to the 3-bedroom premium which we are talking about, except that Norwood Grand's 3-bedroom, like I mentioned, is definitely much more preferred because it has a wide frontage living room. So from the price, this buyer who bought 904 square feet versus 1076 square feet, even though the 1076 square feet owner paid 10% more for the 3-bedroom premium, he actually was able to make at least 33% higher than the 3-bedroom compact. I'm going to compare also something that is in the OCR area is garden residences. So for garden residences, similarly, just going to go through very fast, the 3-bedroom compact 797 square feet versus the 3-bedroom plus study 904 square feet. What is the difference between these two floor plans? Developer actually put this as a study area, but this can actually be converted into a store. Okay, it also has its WC and also a yard. So I would say that this layout belongs more to a 3-bedroom plus, 3-bedroom premium floor plan. So from here we see that between these two owners, they actually purchased 11% more, okay? But the bigger 3-bedroom unit actually earned much more at about 28% in terms of ROI. So from these two examples, we can see one thing is first, if let's say today your top up of 140 square feet difference in terms of 3-bedroom is under 12% or 13%, then the 3-bedroom premium definitely is something you can go for. The second thing is this: even if you are paying much more, maybe 11% more in terms of a 3-bedroom premium, it will definitely still be worth it, because buyers in this area or in the OCR area are still very willing to pay for a better layout, which is more functional and more livable for their families, and they don't mind paying a premium for it. Lastly, let us talk about the 4 bedrooms. So for 4 bedrooms, there are 3 main unit types. I will go through the floor plan one by one with you together. The first floor plan is actually the smallest 4 bedroom, which is the 1173 square feet unit. So for the 1173 square feet, there are only 22 units which are located on stack 6 and stack 11. So as per facing, you can see that for the 4 bedroom, the smallest 4, it actually has one of the non-premium facing in terms of the entire Norwood Grand. So for this 1173 unit, one of the things that you can look at is when you're walking in, there is a proper size wet kitchen which comes with windows, yard, household shelter and WC. So moving out, you can see that there is a very good sized dining area and living area. This whole floor plan, the bedrooms all can fit a queen size bed. The only thing that the bedroom 4 is actually slightly smaller, with the bed tucked onto one side. So if I were to compare this layout to the previous 3-bedroom, I keep saying that the 3-bedroom 1044 is very attractive in terms of size, right? But actually, the 4 bedrooms has to be planned this way by the developers. Why? Because just now, as you can see for the 3-bedroom, right? The 3-bedroom layout is usually for a smaller family as compared to a 4-bedroom. So it's easy for developers to actually position their living area in this way. But if we take this floor plan and go to a 4-bedroom, it is not easy for developers to be able to fit in a wide frontage living area and at the same time fit in a big 8-seater dining table, right? Because for 3-bedroom, it's okay to actually fit in a 4-seater or even a 6-seater because small families. But for 4 bedrooms, developers have to think about having a bigger family, right, for own stay, right? Which means they have to fit in a very much bigger dining area, which is why they actually plan their dining area in this way, whereby it is bigger at the dining space and not bigger in the living room instead. Okay, so for 1173 square feet, this will be the smallest 4-bedroom. Let us move on to the 1313 square feet. For 1313 square feet, the facing of the unit is on stack 2, 7 and 10. So meaning which for these 3 facings, it will have the more premium facing as compared to the smaller 4 bedrooms. So for the 4-bedroom plus study, walking in, you will similarly have a wet kitchen, a yard, household shelter and WC. A similar size dining area. The difference between this floor plan to the previous floor plan is the bedroom 4 is bigger over here. Just now that one is tucked to the side, the 1173, but this 1313 they have a space for a side table. Also for this 1313 square feet, the master bedroom has a balcony and a walk-in wardrobe. Next, we will go to the 1335 square feet, which is located on stack 15, stack 22. Again, this is going to be one of the most premium facing in Norwood Grand. So I would think that the last 2 unit types, which is the 1313 and 1335, has one of the most premium facing in terms of the layout. So walking in, if we were to do a compare for 1335 square feet, you will see that it has a longer foyer area. Bedroom 4 is also much bigger. Then there is balcony and walk-in wardrobe. So now I want to put in these 3 floor plans together and compare with you what is the key difference and is it worth it for you to go for a bigger 4-bedroom or not. So first, if we were to compare between the living space over here, you will see that there is not much difference because all has quite similar attributes in the living area. Kitchen as well, all has yard, household shelter, WC. Okay, the main difference between the 3 floor plans is actually the foyer. Some longer, some shorter. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is actually the bedroom, which I've highlighted over here. Bedroom 4, this is tucked onto the wall one side, okay, and whereas the rest of the bedroom 4 for the other 2 bigger 4-bedroom units are more spacious. You can fit in a side table. Key difference, right, actually is at the master bedroom with walk-in wardrobe and also extra balcony. So now we want to see, actually, does it make sense for us to pay extra for this longer foyer, for this balcony, and for this walk-in wardrobe? So now I compare between the 1173 square feet and 1313 square feet. Similarly, I have to do a discount in terms of the facing, which means today, because the 1173 belongs to the HDB facing, based on $2,200 guide price, at 2170 per square foot, the entire 4-bedroom 1173 square feet will be about 2.54 million. Whereas for 1313 square feet, because it is facing the pool, has one of the more premium facings, this means that the price at 2,200 per square foot will be 2.88, close to 2.9 million. So if I were to do a calculation between the 2.88 million versus the 2.54 million, you'll be able to see that there is a price gap of almost 345,000. So is it really worth it or not? This actually depends on you. To me, I feel that it is not so, because first thing is, we can only see the main differences are here in the bedroom, in the walk-in wardrobe and balcony. I will always ask my buyer, right? Today you are paying $350,000 more. Do you actually need this extra balcony? Do you actually need this walk-in wardrobe? And do you actually need to put a side table on this bedroom 4? If you have questions as to whether you will pay, this will also mean that your future resale buyers will not be able to answer you as well. And when there are these questions, right, this will mean that your premium that you're going to pay may or may not be worth it. So today I would say, if today you're not somebody who is very particular about facing, then just stick to the 1173 square feet. But if today you are still somebody who prefers a better view, then you still have to choose the 1313 square feet. But bear in mind, these views are not exactly the best views in my opinion. So that's why I think it's up to you to really determine whether it's worth it for you to pay a premium of about $300,000 or not. So next, I compare between the smallest 1173 square feet to the biggest 1335 square feet unit. Same thing goes, the key difference is just the foyer area and the bedroom 4, walk-in wardrobe and balcony. So you can see over here the premium is much higher. Why? Because if we do a calculation over here, it's almost $390,000 in terms of premium. Paying $390,000 more for extra balcony and such, in my opinion, I really feel that it is not easy for you to recoup the premium paid if you want to make a much higher profit as compared to the 1173 square feet unit. So just now I included this picture because I feel that this bedroom 4 might be a little bit of a concern for those of you who are considering this layout. Because why? This bedroom is tucked into one side. Here is, you can see that the latch over here in terms of the unit, right, is actually very small. So with that being said, I would feel that even with your bed tucked to one side, right, you will still have a lot of space for you to walk around. So just to summarize, the last thing for today is my top pick for the 4 bedrooms. My top pick for 4 bedroom is clearly going to be the 1173 square feet, only because this forms a very good entry price for the HDB upgraders around Woodlands who are looking at a 4 bedroom but yet want to have keep your budget to a certain quantum, right? Because today, if you're looking at 1173 square feet at $2,170 is about 2.4 million, 2.5 million. In fact, at 2170 per square foot is actually marked up very, very high, because I believe the average per square foot for the whole Norwood Grand should be about 2,000 per square foot. So if we base on 2,000 per square foot, multiply by 1173 square feet, this would mean that your entire purchase will be about 2.2 million. 2.2 million. So this is actually quite a reasonable entry price for a 4 bedroom if today you are looking at an entry level, brand new, near to MRT. So this layout will definitely be the best layout in my opinion. Last but not least, before I go, because just now I did something which is about does it make sense for you to upgrade from a 3 bedroom compact to a 3 bedroom premium, I also want to do a very quick recap. If let's say today you have the option to choose between a 3 bedroom or a 4 bedroom, okay? So between the 3 bedroom plus study 1044 square feet, which is the biggest 3 bedroom, if I were to use very similar per square foot calculation as a basis, right? 1044 square feet, 2,200 per square foot, work out to be about $2.3 million. Whereas for 4 plus study, 2170 square feet, 1173 will work out to be $2.545 million. So this is actually a price gap of $248,000. Which means today that purchase price that you're looking at is only a top up of 10%. So how do you know whether it makes sense or not? It's very easy. Just now we already run through this thing. Usually for a 3 bedroom to 3 bedroom premium, the premium is about 12 to 13%. But today, if let's say from a 3 bedroom top up to 4 bedroom, right? It is only about 10%. Actually, it is a very, very reasonable top up for you. But of course, with that being said, today, if you are a buyer looking for own stay, 4 bedrooms, some people just need 4 bedrooms. 4 bedrooms means 4 bedrooms. We can't argue whether 3 bedroom or 4 bedroom is more worth it. But this is just a guide. Just an idea for you to be able to plan ahead in case you are still figuring out whether it makes sense for you to choose between a 3 bedroom premium, or you can push a bit, squeeze out a bit to go for a 4 bedroom. Okay, so with that being said, today's analysis is based on Norwood Grand. The preview date is going to be 4th of October onwards. If you require professional advice, what is actually roughly the price you can enter at, which makes you more competitive than most of the buyers during balloting at Norwood Grand, reach out to me and I'll be able to talk to you more based on what are the units that you can choose. Or else, I'll see you in my next analysis video.